Good morning, Carl Bogar here with Historic Military Impressions for this week's Item of the Week. Last week I made mention of our library and I made mention that I use reference books a lot. So this week I was going to talk about the books that we find most useful that entry-level collectors or collectors in general should have in their library. So we're going to first start off with most kids start off collecting patches. So one of the books we find very useful, we call it the Big Book of Patches. It's United States Army Patches, Ovals, and Flashes. It's basically the most complete book on patches I've found to date. Obviously, the military is creating new patches. This deals with Army patches, and sometimes it's nice to be able to look up when a patch was in use so you could tell if authentic patches are black lightable or not. Another item that people find very collectible are bayonets. An illustrated history of bayonets has been the most complete book that I have found that I keep referencing when people bring in bayonets. I'm not 100% certain. It pretty much has all the countries of the world, all the main countries of the world, North America, South America, Europe, and has basically schematics and color photos of all the different bayonets that were in use. Nice section on the different types of M1 Garand bayonets from different countries. As you start getting serious into collecting, the next type of book is what we call price guides. Basically, it's just that. It tells you what prices things should be, so you know what you should be paying for it. And when it comes to price, there are three different prices that you need to be aware of. One is called replacement price, or if you were to buy it, to add it to your collection, what should you expect to pay? The other is if you were basically going to bring it into a collector, what is the value and what should you expect a dealer to pay you for it? Roughly, dealers will pay a third to a half of the price. Remember, we have overhead and we're buying things to sell. In my case, I do buy things to add to the collection. So if that was the case, I'd potentially pay a little bit more. What's nice about these versions is that they're printed here in Wisconsin, so they have a little bit more historic value to this area. We also like same price guide 1978 because sometimes it's nice to see how things have increased in value over the years, because a big part of collecting is the fact that it's an investment that you can enjoy over the course of your life, and when you get older, you should be able to, if you take care of it, sell it for considerably more than what you paid for it, depending on how long it's been. Like, I started collecting when I was 5 years old. First thing I got was a German SS single decal helmet from my grandfather. Back then, you could find German helmets for $50 all day long at flea markets, garage sales. They were all over the place. Today, that ain't the case. So, next thing then would be, depending on the type of gear you're collecting, like this is government issue. It's basically World War II gear, all in color photographs, good quality photographs, so that you can actually see what you're looking at. I spent a lot of time looking at the photos just so I could see little differences in things. And it's also, a lot of times I'll be like, I saw that someplace. That's worth taking a chance on if I'm out at a flea market or garage sale. And then I come back and I look through the books to figure out what it is. And most of the time, because when you look at a photographs enough, it sticks in your head that, that's something you saw before. And obviously, you can get those like American gear. Another one, Marine Corps equipment. There's one called Grunt Gear. There's, ones on German gear that you can get. Basically, A lot of people today, they use the internet as the holy grail. And what I found is that it's easier for me to actually find things in books than it is on the internet, because it's just pages and pages and pages of photos. Another one that I found, the last one I'll talk about, that's been very good for me is the Encyclopedia of United States Army Insignia and Uniforms. This book will tell you exactly on a federal uniform, like we had a uniform in 1895 officer's tunic. And I looked at it, it had a zipper. New zippers weren't invented until the 20s. I put it down. And I grabbed the book, grabbed a friend of mine, went back to the resale shop, and I want you to read these criteria that this uniform is supposed to have, and I'm going to look at the actual coat while you're doing it. And what we discovered was it really was an 1895 American officer's dress jacket, but at some point afterwards it was modified to have a zipper in. We could still see the piece of material with the correct number of buttonholes. You could see where they cut out the other side where the buttons were. We ended up buying it and adding it to our collection. So just some ideas on books. Obviously you can go crazy as I have with well over 1,000 books, but a good library, a good reference source information that you can use to help identify and grow your collection and know what you're looking at is useful. Over the course of a couple weeks, I'll go over a couple other items of these books and why and how I use them. But for now, these are just some of the books that we have in my personal reference area here in the Howard Johnson Library at Historic Military Impressions. So this is Carl Bogar signing off for this week. See you next week, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you.